I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move to agenda item number 3, approval of minutes from our July 27th board meeting. Have all members had a chance to review? I have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 27th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item number 4 is approval of our closed session minutes. Board members had a chance to review those. Have a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we move on to agenda item number 5, new registration and statistics.
Move we adopt pending review or accept.
Number, it's a total of 261.
Yes. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item number 6, I'll introduce Director Snyder, give him an opportunity to give us an update about the board election office.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. So we're gearing up, as everybody knows, or may not know, all voter ID requirements have been struck. So this year when voting, there's no photo ID requirements. So we're in the process of cleaning our website, cleaning different places we can send information out to make sure all that information comes back so that there's nothing that's misleading the public. Gearing up for that training. Very excited. September 9th, we start mailing out absentee by mail ballots. We have our new employees starting tomorrow, so we're very excited about that. And it is off into the races. We've got equipment testing coming up in a few weeks. Ballot proofing is starting this week. So we're in full swing. That's about it.
Thank you. We'll now move to the public comment session of our board meeting. And I'll start with Michael Bredez, if you could help me with the pronunciation.
It's Barry.
Barrett, okay.
Bill, could we get a chance to sign the sheet if we didn't, if it wasn't out there?
Would you like an opportunity to?
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that has not signed up that would like to speak to a public comment?
I've had trouble connecting in here. The next door connects.
And just 1 second, please. There'll be 2 minutes per comment session, and Director Snyder will keep tabs on the timeline. And I'll give the floor to you. Make sure that microphone is on.
Probably needs to be turned on.
Test. I got it. Doesn't count towards my 2 minutes. Thank you for the time. My name is Michael Barrick. I'm campaign manager for Art Sherwood. For those who don't know, Art is running for State Senate District Seat 45, which includes Watauga County. I ask you to look over your shoulder at the seal of the great state of North Carolina and see that it says to be rather than to seem. The question before you is, do you really support voting rights, or do you just seem to? And so
Excuse me. There'll be no clapping or cheering during public comment. Please give this gentleman your respect.
thank you. So, all that I ask or present before you is this idea. Elections are about ideas. What I ask is that if you believe in the ideas of your parties, if you believe in your candidates, you will welcome as many voting locations as you can create for the people of this county and for the students of this campus. Thank you for your time.
There will be no clapping after anybody speaking. So we need to have respect. I respect that for both sides. So if you could please keep that to a minimum. Appreciate it. We'll move on. Mayor Clausen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here to make a few comments. I would really appreciate it if we continue to have the right to vote at the student union. This is a location that serves so many people in this county. I know that I early voted there because it's way out in the county where my voting precinct is. I think it's really the most logical place for the most people in the county to vote. I'd like to say that I have enjoyed working with our students for many years and find them well-informed and looking forward to voting in their first presidential election. They're a really, really good group. And I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Susan Murphy.
Thank you for the opportunity to make a comment. I've been trying to follow this process through the news and through various social media news sources. And I have to say, despite 3 advanced degrees, one of them in administration, I have found this to be the most opaque and illogical process I've ever witnessed. So if that was this body's intention, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
That will not be tolerated. So this continues. We do have statutory authority to ask people to leave, and we will enforce that. So I expect you to show respect to everyone that chooses to speak tonight. Move on. The next speaker is Mary Rose Carroll.
Thank you for the chance to be here tonight and speak. Now, I know 3 of you know as well as I know, because I was an election judge in the primary, how many opportunities we had for the voting public to have days of early voting and different precincts to vote at. I may be wrong in the information I seem to have picked up. I hope I am, but it sounds like there is less time to vote and less places to vote for the coming general election than there was for the primary. And I don't, if that's the case, I do not understand the rationale for that. Everybody knows the general election is going to pull out many more voters than were at the primary. So if we give them less opportunity to vote, I don't, as I said, understand the rationale. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to Donna Linsby.
Good evening. I'd like to thank you all for your public service on this election commission and the opportunity to speak tonight. You've never seen me at one of these meetings before. I've never been to one. I live in Western Watauga. My family's very patriotic. We have 4 members serving in active duty military right now. I am neither a registered Republican nor a registered Democrat. What my family is busy fighting for is so every American who is entitled to vote has the opportunity to vote. So we have a saying in this county that says, practice courtesy and kindness. There are many people in this county who have difficulty getting around, who need time to get places to vote, who would very much appreciate the courtesy and kindness of having as many places to vote as possible for as long as possible. So I'm here to ask you, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, as a Watauga County taxpayer and voter and independent, please have the decency to practice courtesy and kindness. At long last, ladies and gentlemen, have the decency to practice courtesy and kindness and provide us, all of us, young and old, hardy and hale and able to walk, and those who can't, who have mobility issues, the ability to vote in as many places as possible for as long a time period as possible. Thank you again for allowing me to speak.
We'll move on to Anderson Clayton.
Hi, my name is Anderson Clayton, and I'm the Director of External Affairs for the Student Government Association at Appalachian State. I didn't really know what I was going to say when I came up here, but since I've been at App for the fall semester, I've witnessed several students, and not even several students, hundreds of students probably, asking like SGA and college Democrats and college Republicans where they can go to vote. And I have to tell them I don't know. And I think that that's really an interesting thing right now, because I believe that, no matter what your political party affiliation with, is that you should want students to vote. You should encourage that. You should be encouraging their civic duty and their participation, because we are one of the most underrepresented people, I think, in government today. So I think I'm just going to leave you guys with this. Let us vote, and let us vote in the student union. Make it easy for us to do so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I do appreciate everybody's respect. Thank you. We'll move on to Chris Gentry.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Gentry. I'm a student here at App State. The thing I want to ask you is, I want you to look at the fundamental organization that you serve. Does the Board of Elections want to encourage voting or discourage it? See, we just registered over 1,000 students last week. Those students want to vote. They want to participate in our democracy, so I want to ask you, why are you discouraging them? Our generation has the lowest turnout of any generation they've ever had. I'm talking like 30-something%. So why are we discouraging it? We should be asking them to get out there because they are the future of our democracy. So I don't ask, I demand. I demand the right to vote in as many locations as possible. If your organization serves a purpose at all, why is it serving to discourage voting? That seems silly. The numbers for sites like the Student Union were absurd. They were the most used voting site in the entire state for 3 days. So why would you not put it there? Why would you discourage other voting sites? We should be trying to get as many people to vote as possible, as easily as possible. And if that's not what your organization is doing, what's your purpose for being here? Thank you.
I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but I'll spell it. A-Y-A-K-O.
Hi, my name is Ayako. I'm here to speak on behalf of the students at ASU. I'm the Student Government Association's appointed chief of staff, and I'm here with all of the other executive members of the Student Government Association. This year, the State Board of Elections is expecting about 17,000 voters to be voting during early voting in Watauga County, which means there has to be 150 votes casted every single hour during the duration of early voting in one site if satellite early voting sites are removed. And that makes voting a very inaccessible and time-consuming process for students, and is simply incompatible with our busy schedules as students. So I'll respectfully ask you to maintain our student union as an early voting site, and thank you for your time.
The next, Jeremy Bertrand.
Thank you all. I want to, the lady, who was it, right there, who thank you guys for your service. That's nice to hear, because you guys make a lot of sacrifices, and I think from me as well, it was my first meeting. I see you guys getting a lot of slack, and that's unfortunate. As of this March, I've lived in Boone longer than I've lived anywhere else. I've voted in all kinds of places, 2 different countries, and for me, this is the easiest voting I've ever had in my life. The driver's license place is really quite handy too, compared to the lines I've sat in other places. But I've walked into my voting site, and everything seems great. People are kind and courteous, and there seems to be a lack of those comments, so I thought I'd just throw that in there. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Nicholas Jordan.
Excuse me, my bad. My name is Jordan. This is my 6th year living here in Boone. You know, I know it's scary. I just want to acknowledge that it is scary, the change that has come and that is coming in this place, culturally, all that. We know what this is about. We know what this is designed to do. And my mom always says we get very few chances to do the right thing. Please do the right thing and allow as many voting sites as possible. Thank you.
Todd Carter.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. I'm here to verbally read the Watauga NAACP official letter. I'm going to send each of you a registered copy of the plan that we are hoping to get here in Watauga County. We are hopeful 17 days of one-stop early voting. We want there to be, during the week, 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. at a minimum. Saturdays, 8 to 5. And we would really request both Sundays, October 23rd and October 30th, from 1 to 6 p.m. We haven't had Sunday voting here in a while, and we need to do the best that we can to provide as many opportunities for people to vote. Technical support and human resources I know are critical for you guys, and I truly believe that you want to find the fullest possible participation, and that includes the Plymouth Student Union, and of course the administration building, Blowing Rock Town Hall, Western Watauga Community Center, Deep Gap Fire Department, and Meat Camp Fire Department. I would hope that you would consider this plan, and thank you for letting me speak. And again, you'll be receiving a registered copy in the mail. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Ward.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak prior to voting on your plan. I wanted to share some quotes with you. My name is Ann Ward. I moved here 5 years ago. I love Watauga County. I want to echo what the gentleman said about the ease of voting here. It's been really convenient for me in a number of different ways. I just wanted to share some quotes about voting by people who know way more about it than I do. It is by their votes the people exercise their sovereignty, Thomas Jefferson. The legislative and executive branches may sometimes err, but elections' independence will bring them to rights, Thomas Jefferson. For this nation to remain true to its principles, we cannot allow any American's vote to be denied, diluted, or defiled. The right to vote is the crown jewel of American liberties, and we will not see its luster diminished. Ronald Reagan in 1981, stating his support for the extension of the Voting Rights Act. I want to see policies that encourage every American to vote, not to make it more difficult to vote. It immediately turns off a voting bloc the Republican Party needs. These kinds of actions do not build on the base, it just turns people away. Colin Powell, speaking to the CEO Forum in Raleigh, North Carolina in 2013. And this is from an email from Matt Snyder, who emailed to me earlier this summer. It is not illegal for students to register to vote in Watauga County. The desire to stop them from voting at Appalachian State makes no sense. There's a huge population there. Why not make it easier? One of my most active, politically active students was the head of Young Republicans. You're stopping both Republicans and Democrats from voting. I don't understand the push to suppress the vote in Watauga. I find it troubling, and I hope that that's not your intention. I have not seen your plan. I don't know what you'll be voting on. Thank you.
Joan Brannon.
In our democracy, voting has been a right that has been struggled for by many in our nation's history. We hold it dear. And in a democracy, everything that can be done should be done in order to make voting as easy and as convenient as possible. I trust that this board will act in accordance with our democracy and make sure that voting.
Most elections. It is my opinion that the board's job is to facilitate voting by making it as easy as possible for the majority of registered voters to vote. In my district, New River 3, you have made it increasingly more difficult to vote by moving the voting place from the National Guard Armory first to Mutton Crossing and now to Mount Vernon Church. Mount Vernon Church is not centrally located for voters in our district. It is actually on the edge of the next district. In addition, there is no public transportation to this location. I understand that it had to be moved years ago from the Armory as it was being renovated, but could be moved back now. In addition, the excuse that it floods at election time has happened exactly once during election time in the last 46 years. I'm asking you to move it back to the Armory in the future for the convenience of all voters in New River 3. It is my understanding that you are charged with making voting as convenient and easy as possible for all voters. In the last election, over 3,000 registered voters voted at ASU Student Center. The arguments that two of you have presented in the past did not seem to bother those 3,000 registered majority of voters in the last election and did not bother me as I voted there. I'm asking that you do your job by making it as convenient as possible for all voters and keep the present voting place, the Student Union, on the campus for the next election. In the future, I would appreciate it if you would move New River 3 polling place back to the Armory for the convenience of people in that district. Sincerely, John Kelly.
Thank you.
And I've already given a copy for your secretary.
Okay, appreciate that. Pam Williamson?
Here we are again. Just for the record, clapping doesn't show disrespect to people. Excuse me. There's nothing whatsoever wrong with people being happy or being joyous or appreciating what somebody else has said. And I'm sorry that in your life, that is showing disrespect. And I don't scold you, I feel sorry for you. I think everybody who stood up here to speak has been in favor of the following. All county sites that are already the one-stop sites, the ASU Student Union, they want extended hours and days, and they want it as convenient as possible. Every single person who stood here said that. Someone said earlier, and I thought it was great, the best ideas win. So you should fight with your ideas, not with voter suppression, so that people can vote against your ideas. 1/3 of all the voters in Watauga County are under the age of 25 years of age. Trying to move or eliminate a site that they can get to most conveniently is unconstitutional discrimination. So the good news is you have the authority based on the folks who were here to do those things. I don't know how much longer I got, but I want to just say this briefly. The Chancellor, a lot of people may not know, and Matt was kind enough to send this to me when I sent in a public records request. The Chancellor did write back when Bill wrote, Mr. Aceto wrote, and asked that they release Legends. And I just want to read a few words from what she said as to why she would not, why she had responded in the negative in allowing you all to use Legends without further negotiation. Here's some of the words. Concerns, storm drainage, flooding, sandbags to keep the water out. The roof is leaking during heavy rains. Air ventilation, dampness in the building, not air conditioning.
Please wrap up.
Smells bad. Fans may displace your documents when it's trying to heat the building.
Please conclude your comments.
And that, thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for hearing me out. And you all clap if you want to.
And you're a leader of this local group, one of the leaders, and I expect more out of you, not to rally a crowd. Appreciate more respect from you. To us as a board. I'm not debating it, I'm disappointed. So we're going to, that concludes our public comment session. We appreciate everybody that chose to speak today. And Is the board comfortable moving on to the next agenda item? Would you like to recess? Okay, so we'll move on to item, which is now number 8, consideration and vote for the one-stop information plan for November 8th for our general presidential election. We're here again today based on a Fourth Circuit ruling that eliminated, as you know, the early voting hours and also changed voter ID, and along with a host of other items that were part of that bill. And so, as a state statute, we have to meet again today to determine the one-stop plans. The plans that we submitted 2 weeks ago are no longer valid. We have to resubmit our plans in order for it to be considered in front of this board. So I'm welcome to, if you like, I can submit my plan, or would you like to make the comments first?
Just for the record, I believe both.
Use your mic.
Mr. Aceto, there's also a person that signed up who never was called.
Okay, can you provide that name, please?
I'm Ariel Dennis.
You are correct. Yep, we can, you guys are comfortable, we can go up and back up public comment.
Thank you for allowing me to talk today. In 2012, the population of Watauga County was 40% students, and it's only grown since then. One-stop voting on campus is very important to students' voter turnout. It is vital to the community that our government encourage young voters and adults to participate in the political process. Students are valuable members of the community and have active school, work, and family lives. The ability to vote on campus is essential to young adults that do not have flexibility to leave work, school, or other responsibilities to get to the polls. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sorry I missed you earlier. We'll now close the public comment session, and we'll move back to the consideration, and I'll open the floor to Member Campbell.
No.
Anderson. Sorry, Kathleen.
I just wanted to make clear that you guys received what I'm proposing. I asked Matt to submit that to you, and I'm absolutely going to retain all of the early voting sites that we had in March. And we have to decide on what's best with regard to extending the hours to meet the now 2012 law, in essence, which covers a maximum of a 17-day period. Obviously, we need to add those hours minimally to the admin building, and I believe that there's plenty of justification for extending the days, a couple more days at the ASU site. So I look forward to discussing this with you.
Do you have anything you'd like to add? I would agree with you, Sal. I think it is important to extend the hours based on the statutory requirement. Are you comfortable if I go ahead and put this in a form of a motion as far as my plan?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to move to consider the same plan that was submitted at our last meeting, which includes the 6 sites, with the only difference being to Member Anderson's plan is that I feel firmly that it should be at Legends and not the ASU Student Union. This plan does include early voting on ASU's campus, which I think is important to note. And the other sites would include Meat Camp, Western Watauga, Blowing Rock, and Deep Gap Fire Departments, and then at our Board of Election office, which we've used in the past, the Annex building, Watauga County Administration building. In this motion, I'd also like to do the statutory minimum with the hours, so the 5 days that have been added on based on the lawsuit, I'd like for those to be added on in the beginning, so those hours would be at the board office. So the beginning 5 days, I believe, of early voting will be at the board office. And also the findings of fact that was previously read, Member Anderson and myself during the past board meeting. I'd like to make that part of the motion as well, and open that up for the board to vote on. I'd like to make that long-winded motion. Is there a second?
Unfortunately, I think this board is extremely divided, and it's a shame. Stella, I don't think there's any way you're going to go with Bill's plan. I think that's evident. And I think the state board has made it perfectly clear to us that they're, quite frankly, sick of seeing us. Yeah. And they want a unanimous plan, and that's not going to happen. And I'm taking no action on your motion.
And
I'm for lack of a second.
And I'm happy for us to flesh out, is there a way that we can be unanimous? I'm more than happy to do that. It's long overdue for us to be in agreement and stop having to petition the State Board of Elections for approval of what we should all agree upon.
Would you like to make that an emotion, one of the motion? Is there a plan that, I think you know our concerns or my concerns. If you're willing to address those, I'll certainly consider a motion.
Okay. Just a couple of things. I just want to, for the record, by reference, let's make sure that all of the discussion and the documents that we considered in our July 12th meeting are included here, again, by reference, because, you know, we had extensive discussion about the merits of those plans at the time, and there was a lot of information and such. So I just want it noted in the record that all of that can be included for today's meeting minutes by reference.
As well as public comment as well. There was over 34 people that spoke at the last meeting.
Which I'm very proud of. And we need to make sure that we always provide for public comment period before we consider, discuss, and take action. I'm struck by a statement that Josh Lawson offered us, some really important perspective at the State Board seminar conference that we attended last Monday and Tuesday. And I know, Nancy, you had an obligation that prevented you from being there, understandably. He was talking about the perspective that he hopes board members have. And that is a recognition that when we are appointed to this board, we accept this appointment, that we accept with it the responsibility that we have to be good stewards of the voting public's trust. And there's many things that we need to do to maintain that. I think it's been called into question, in the last 2 years, at a minimum. And I just think that's an incredible admonition for all three of us to recognize that we have a responsibility by virtue of this appointment of being good stewards of the public's trust.
I agree, and I think it's.
Would you use the microphone?
I agree, and that's why I'm seconding Bill's motion.
Okay, so I would like to formally move for adoption of the plan that I outlined and sent to you for the benefit of those in attendance here that don't have the plan. Let me just kind of outline the parameters. We would use the administration building in lieu of the County Board of Elections office. We have to do that. We do not have the ability to vote people in the Board of Elections office. So that would be designated as in lieu of site. That's what the State Board requires. I am extending, obviously, the days to start on October 20th, which is the mandatory start of early voting. So it would be that Thursday and Friday. And then the following Monday through Friday, and then Saturday at least 8 to 1. I had in July submitted to the state board hours that I felt important, that were really important, and that is to have minimally 1 hour after 5 o'clock to accommodate people who work during kind of the traditional 9 to 5 time and could really make use of at least that after Board of Elections office hours. So my plan would be 8 to 6 p.m. on all those days, and then the final Saturday, 8 to 1. I believe that we strongly need to extend a couple more days, and we have the ability to do that at the ASU Student Union Satellite One Stop. In 2012, this is exactly what we had. We had the ability to have satellite sites that had different days and different hours. And we had the flexibility as a board to kind of decide based on the given site what would be needed, how heavily it's been utilized in the past, etc. So my proposal is to make for the full 2 weeks period, the Monday through Friday, October 27th, and then the Monday through Friday starting October 31st and ending November 4th, and have hours. Again, I want at least 1 hour after 5 o'clock, so those hours would be 10 to 6. And then for the Deep Gap, the Blowing Rock, the Meat Camp, and the Western Watauga satellite sites, that we keep the hours that we agreed upon, the days and hours that we agreed upon in July, on July 12th, and that was the Thursday, Friday, and the Monday through Friday. But I did want those, obviously, to also be 10 to 6 hours. I want to talk a little bit about the ample justification for extending 3 more days out of this period to the student union. Do I have a second on this motion, just so that we can go ahead and discuss it?
I guess to clarify, your plan is very similar to the plan I submitted, with the one change. I guess the difference would be the ASU Student Union versus the Boone 2 polling location, which is Legends. Is that correct?
That's one difference. And then adding 5 to 6 p.m. At the admin and these satellite sites. So it would go until 6 p.m. And then there are 3 days that I propose that we add on to the ASU Student Union. In 2012, we had exactly this. We had Monday through Friday and Monday through Friday on campus. In 2012, we had 3 sites. We had the admin, and we had the ASU Student Union, and we actually had some days at Fosco Fire Department. You know, the growth in popularity and use of early voting, every single election has just continued to increase. And so we've added these county sites now, and that's a good thing. You know, the ASU Student Union is the most heavily utilized site. You can look at that on an hour by, a per hour basis. You can look at that in terms of the total people that chose that location to vote early. And I'm gonna just provide a couple of numbers. In 2012, there were, let's see if I can put my hand on it. We had 215 hours, and we had a total of 15,319 early voters, and we have those 3 sites, as I mentioned. The state has provided us with ample guidance to use data to make pretty good predictions about the number of early voters that we can expect. The thinking is, by and large, that it's probably more like 2008 than it was 2012. So I've sort of based my decisions on an expected total early voting expected to happen at the ASU Student Union. So I believe we need those extra days at the Student Union in recognition of that's a heavily utilized site. We saw what happened in March when we had, the 7 days in the primary. We struggled mightily with long lines, etc. The goal of early voting is to make election day go better. And the more people that early vote, the better election day will go. So I feel like that's more than justified in terms of the added days, with the hope that as many people as possible take advantage of that and vote across those days, and then make election day a lot easier. And hopefully we'll make legends go better on election day, which was also problematic in the March primary. So I think the demand and the use, the historical use of the ASU Student Union site more than warrants the little bit of additional time devoted there. And if we do these other early voting sites well, by providing convenient locations, by recognizing those that are most heavily utilized, we take stress off of early voting next door in the admin building. And then we obviously, are in better standing overall for election day. Do either of you have questions about? Oh, I'm sorry, I've got some numbers on here for the, like, looking at the 2012 and trying to make predictions for November, and looking at the 2016 March primary. We have to expect, because Executive Director Kim Stratch from the State Board told us to expect double the turnout from March, and to expect that of all voters that we would expect in the county, 54%, I believe, or maybe it was 56, should be expected to exercise their option to vote early. And so, we're gonna see record turnout. We're gonna see record turnout in early voting and probably even on election day. So I believe that it behooves us to make early voting as accessible as possible, conveniently located, the days where they're needed, so that the administration site is not overloaded, either during early voting or on election day.
So you willing to amend your motion to include Boone 2 and not the student union, or are you standing firm that it's an all or nothing approach to have the student union as the election day?
I have thought a lot about what I would be willing to do to compromise in the hopes that we might be unanimous and not be going to Raleigh again. We know we've got to extend the days at the admin site, no matter what. Do I think those 3 extra days at ASU are more than justified? Absolutely. Do I think that the voting needs to be at the student union? Matt and I went and checked out Legends, and it's the same old, same old. It is a totally inadequate site. And it's now we're in a situation where the university does not agree to the use of Legends, and I don't know what that will mean going to Raleigh if we're not unanimous and petition. In the spirit of compromise and the ability to be unanimous, it would have to be the student union, not Legends, but I will forego the 3 extra days at ASU if that would help us to achieve unanimity.
I'm not willing or able to support that. I think I've been very clear about my position on the student union versus Boone 2 polling location, election day site. It is on ASU's campus. I think it is adequate. There's a lot of concerns I have about
Shame!
There's a a lot of concerns I have about the student union versus Boone 2 polling location. So the motion dies for lack of a second. And
If I don't, if I second the motion, then we're right back to square one, which is we're right in front of the board where they do not want us to be.
Are you willing to support my plan?
No, because we're not gonna be, we're gonna be back to square one, Stella, because he's never gonna support yours, you're never gonna support his.
You've got to vote.
excuse me, this is a board decision.
It has to be a unanimous vote. It doesn't matter if it's 2-1. It has to be unanimous.
Yeah, that is true.
But what happens if y'all don't have a budget?
Excuse me, this is a board decision. We're the body here to making the decision.
I think we have to formally vote on both plans.
My plan was shot down without a second. Your plan was shot down without a second. So the board takes no action. There is no plan. I'm sure the state board would love to see that again. So
There will be a plan.
I adjourn the
It will be
meeting.
considered and decided on by the state board of elections. I'm no protection.
Meeting's adjourned.
That's absurd.
We always have a second to adjourn. Are we not going to have a second to adjourn?
Take it to the state.
You're going to be respectful to the board?
Nancy, do you believe that we need to adjourn right now?
I think that this is a discussion between the board and not the audience. We've heard you twice now, and I respect your opinions, but you should also respect ours. And we don't get a lot of that. Just because we have difference of opinions does not make us any less of humans. You demand things of us, that's not what this board is about. We cannot come to terms on this board. We will go before the state board, and therefore they will tell us what to do.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
What's your rationale?
All in favor?
Shame.
You're not serving the people.
This is what democracy is. This is democracy.
The state board now. The state board.
What's your rationale?
Democracy is largely represented.
No, it isn't. He presented his plan, that's what he wasn't going to be called, he was going to recite what we had.
I've never in my life, like right now, I'm so.
It's all right, you just be honest.